Welcome team, it's time for another weekly Q&A live. So great to have you here. Now, if you're here for the first time and joining us, this is for our Premier Property community. This is for you, and this is all about answering your questions directly. So feel free to make notes, and if you've got any questions yourself, you know that you can actually subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube and click on that bell icon to make sure you get the next notification. And I'd love to hear your comments, further questions that you have. I'd love to help you with this. And if you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Kam Dovedi. I'm the founder of Premier Property. I'm an investor for the last 29 years. And I'm going to do my best to answer your specific questions. Now, these questions, if you're watching this right now live, are of course from our Premier Property community. Like I say, our Premier Property Inner Circle, in fact. And we have a very good question starting off from Plashi. So Plashi is asking, so she's saying, I'm interested in a 3-bedroom terrace property, but the size of the rooms seem to be too small. Precisely the sizes are, and she's actually notified us of the sizes. Now, if you're watching this, like I say, Plashi is one of our regular people here who gets her questions answered on a weekly basis. And this is the point of this, isn't it? It's about you moving forward in property. So this is what we're discussing right now. And Plashi, like what I say, is asking about these 3 specific bedrooms, 3-bedroom terraced house. And she is saying that one of the bedrooms is 3.58 by 2.84 meters, plus a wardrobe. The wardrobe's important. Let's stay with this. And she's also saying the meterage. So first thing is to work out the square meterage of each of those rooms. So very quickly, if we do that, 3.41 by 2.48, I'm just going to do this off the top of my head. That's around 9 square meters. So 9 square meters plus, absolutely fine, because the minimum is 6.52 square meters for a minimum bedroom space. So knowing this, that fits really nice. 6.2 square meters is the bedroom space, so that fits quite nicely in that. So that one's all right, Plashi. Now, if it was a situation where you've got a room where the room is smaller and there's a wardrobe, remember the space standards will work with the wardrobe in place. However, if you can't count the area for the wardrobe, however, if you remove the wardrobe, then you can count the spaces within that. So, key things to be aware of when you're measuring spaces. And also be aware, in the 6.52 square meters, which is mandatory now for bedroom sizes, do be aware that that doesn't include the recesses or windows. So if it's unusable space, then that won't be measured. So for example, like what I say, if it's a recess within a window, or let's say you've got a half a meter space where you've got a little bit of a space, and then you've got a chimney stack or something like that thereafter, that space cannot also be measured. It needs to be where you can actually stand up, actually usable space. Hope I'm making sense here for you. So do be measuring these rooms in this way. So Pilashi, to answer your question, that room is absolutely fine. Your second room is 2.28 by 2.5. So a quick analysis on that one. You're looking at a very small room there. That's bedroom number 3. But bedroom number 2 is 3.41 by 2.48. So let's discuss this one first. 3.41 by 2.48. So I'm doing this without a calculator. That's over 8 square meters. These are ballpark numbers that you can work out. You can use a calculator, of course. So that is also usable space. Well over the 6.52 square meters that is actually required for it to be for it to actually be a habitable space. Yes. So next up is another question being asked here about the third room, and the third room is just too small. Now, I just want to be clear about these numbers. I'm saying a lot of numbers here. So the minimum mandatory size is 6.2 square meters. Just having a conversation with myself here. We're all human. Keep that in mind, which is absolutely a massive opportunity for you, because I'm glad you are human, because there's so much more you can do. Do you know the capabilities that you really have of how much you can actually really do being just human? Let's come back to the room sizes, shall we? So, bedroom number 2 works really well, Plashi, 6.2 square meters. And the next one is the third room. Now the third room is measuring at 2.28 by 2.5. So that is pretty small. That is around 5 square meters. You can measure that one, of course, like I say, with a calculator. And that is a uninhabitable space for it to be a single or a double bedroom. So that room you can't really use as a bedroom unless, and there's always a way around these, there's always a workaround. The workaround that room is a habitable space. If it's a child's bedroom, then that does become habitable space, a baby's bedroom. You know what I mean, right? So it is. But in the norm, that is not a bedroom. So you're quite right to ask the question: should I be renting this out as a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom? So what we do, we have a number of properties like this that we're buying on a regular basis at Premier Property, and what we find is it's much better to actually promote it as a 2-bedroom. And you'll find that you get very good rent for that as a nice large 2-bedroom where you've got that third space, the smaller bedroom, let's call it, which you are giving more value to your tenants. So it's a 2-bedroom. You'll rent really easily. You find you get the maximum rent for a 2-bedroom. You might even get a bit more than the 2-bedroom rent, and people are really happy knowing that there's an extra space. The big mistake people make is they market it as a 3-bedroom, and then it just sticks and sticks and sticks. And that probably doesn't rent, which of course for you is lost revenue. So bring in your revenue, make money, let's get this done properly and fast and quick and really move forward together. So hope that answers your question. Really good question there, Palashi. Okay, so next up I've got another question here by our lovely Melody Barnes. So Melody is in our Premier Property Inner Circle, and Melody is asking, so I'm reading this off the cuff as you know. Right, so hi all, can anyone help with this? I'd like to work out a very rough estimate of how much it might cost to add a second story onto an existing small bungalow. Interesting. Probably keeping the existing footprint. Is there a standard cost per square meter for this kind of development? Just quickly checking on the assessment on whether it may be worth looking into in more detail. Melody, first of all, you're doing it the right way. So at Premier Property, what we do have is a number of rules of thumb which allow you to do the analysis once, and you only do the amount of analysis that is required. The biggest problem for many people out there is they have that, analysis paralysis. Maybe you know people like this, if you're watching this, where they get so bogged down into the detail, they don't actually get anything done. My suggestion would be is just make things simple, and have rules of thumbs at the different levels of assessment. So, first level of assessment, Melody, to make this really easy, is to actually work this out on a square meterage. So, you can do this. And here's some numbers for you I want to share with you right now. But before I do, I just want to say hi to some of the team. So we got Diane here. Diane, good to see you. Feel free to give me a wave if you wish. And we have Pearl here as well. And yeah, just checking. So, quite a few people here, but Nick's here as well. Hey, Nick, good to see you here. Akim's here as well. I'm still getting grips with the social media, but I'm okay with the property thing. So that's okay. So, Melody, what we do at Premier Property is we work from a square meterage. So my suggestion for you is work from a figure of 2,000 square meters. Hey, Mita, thanks for liking. Jack is watching as well. So Jack says one of our Premier Property Inner Circle mentors as well, as you know. Been in the industry for over 30 years. He's a good craftsman. He's a builder. He's a contractor. Right now helping a lot of people as well. So good to see you here, Jack. Yes, so 2,000 square meters. You can start from that figure. That encompasses the build cost. That encompasses any extra surveys that you might have. Any paperwork for any permitted development or development. So you can encompass that as a rule of thumb just to make sure that what you got in front of you is a really good deal. Hopefully you're following me here. Now, £2,000 square meter, you can work the numbers out. The next thing to keep in mind is it actually worth you doing this development? Is it worth you actually adding this floor on? And the way we do this at Premier Property is we assess it in the terms of extra income coming in, or extra capital value added to the property. So, if your value of the property of that bungalow is going to be uplifted by adding this floor, is it going to give you a new value, which you can check on Rightmove, on Zoopla? You can check for sold prices. You can check in with estate agents as well. Finding out what that value of that property is, what that property can sell for. In this way, you can actually work out and measure exactly, what the uplift is for that property. So that's one way of doing it. So capital uplift. So for example, let's say you spend £40,000 and the property value has uplifted by a total of 80,000. Well, then of course, £80,000 uplift minus your 40,000 pre-tax. You've uplifted it by the equity has been you raised the equity by another £40,000, haven't you, in terms of net pre-tax? So that at Premier Property makes sense. In fact, that is a ratio that we work to when we're working on uplifts. The minimum, we look at, well, actually the minimum that we look at is a 33.33% uplift. These are the numbers that we work at Premier Property. Feel free to use these. And when it comes to income, at Premier Property, what we do is, so for example, if you're going to be adding that floor to rent that property and rent that space, and you're going to have additional revenue coming in on a monthly basis, just imagine that income coming in regularly. Well then, if you're like us at Premier Property, what we do is we put a balloon around that of 3 years. So what I mean by this is specifically within 3 years, the extra income that you're collating from this extra level that you've created, does that income cover the costs within 3 years? So does the 3 years income, another way of saying it, does the 3 years income that you've got coming in cover the expenses of adding that extra floor? And if this makes sense for you, then you absolutely do it if it's within 3 years. If it's not, then you find a better deal. Hope that makes sense. These are numbers that we've got at Premier Property and they always keep you safe. Very exciting property. I love property. And this leads me on to the third question. This is from Vishal. So Vishal is saying, market is really hot right now. And I'm finding that everything I'm making an offer on is selling. Yeah, Vishal, you know that. And it's all about, when you say selling, what you're talking about here, I believe, is the fact that it's under offer. Now, keep in mind, under offer is not a legally binding contract. So by knowing this, you have the peace of mind and that relief of knowing that, many people out there want to do things, but they're not like you, where they're actually active and, continuously learning, continuously watching these videos. And I'm not just saying this. If you're watching this video right now, you're living proof of this. You know that you really want to move forward. You're here because you want to, you're not one of those people that want to make mistakes. You want to, eliminate as many mistakes as you possibly can and get it right first time. So, you're demonstrating this right now. Unfortunately, people out there in a heated market, yeah, of course, they're making use of the stamp duty changes right now. Also, summer's coming up as well, so they're making use of that as well. Prices always go up in summer as well. And right now, what you'll find is there are people that will, have a property under offer, but then they get cold feet, or they can't come up with the money, or, their situation changes as it is doing in the coming months. And you will find that those properties, unfortunately or fortunately for you, they come back onto the market. Now, at Premier Property, what we find is typically out of every 3 sales, typically 2 sales fall out of bed. It's the normal. And what we're finding this year at Premier Property is, doing the projects that we're doing, typically we have 3 to 7 projects on a monthly basis, happening different types. And, what we find is that right now, the sales that we're getting agreed from people where they had it agreed and then they come back on the market is typically 2 out of 1 are falling out of bed. So the sales were agreed. So you watch them. You're just checking with the estate agent. A month later, you find the property back on the market. Why? Because that person couldn't perform. They didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the information. They got cold feet. They didn't have the support. They weren't watching videos like this. They weren't informing themselves in whichever way. And just because of all of this, they put the property back on the market and the sale fell through. You pick it up because you're not one of those people, clearly, like what I say. Now, if you're enjoying these videos, you can subscribe here. And I'm going to share with you another tip here for Vishal as well on what you can actually be doing right now. So if you're enjoying these videos, like I say, subscribe, click on the bell icon. You know how this works. And I will make sure that I'll continue to the best of my ability to help you answer your questions. And by the way, if you're not in our Premier Property Inner Circle community yet, that's absolutely fine. Feel free. I still like to hear your questions. If there's anything that I can help you with, I will do my best to help you just from what we are doing at Premier Property right now by being active. So talking about active, we have Vanetta here. So Vanetta is joining us. Hey Vanetta, really good to see that you're here. Also Melody, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed and it makes sense, the comments that I made for your project. Have a think about those. And we're going to wrap up with Vishal's question, but I want to share the second part of that. So the first part is, like what I just said, to summarize, is that these properties are coming back on the market. So please don't be too concerned if you find that they are under offer. Just watch and see what happens. And the second part I want to share with you is, have a look, in our Premier Property community. I've just put a post up there, in fact, this week, today, in fact. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can join the Premier Property community on Facebook. So it's a group, just search for Premier Property Community. Feel free to ask to be joining the group, and we will, of course, we're happy for you to join us. So you'll be welcomed in. And have a look at this post, the specific post I'm discussing with you, all to do with furloughs, all to do with, what's actually going to happen to the economy in terms of employers and employees. Because there's some shocking stats, there's some shocking news that's actually coming up. Feel free to just check that. I'll just mention that one more time. That's in the Premier Property Community Facebook group. Ask yourself to be invited. Check the post that I put in on there on Tuesday, the 4th of August, because that's the day I put this on. That's the day I'm recording this, and just check in. You will be surprised, shocked, and you know what? There's not really much that we can do about the economy, but would you agree with me that what you can do is take personal responsibility and think about you, your family, your friends, your future. And on that note, I'd just like to say, I love that you're watching this. My name is Kam Dovedi, the founder of Premier Property, and I will continue to do this, and I'll see you here, same time next week. See you later.